Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly, David D. Simons. I'm delighted and excited to have today's guest on the show. I've been looking forward to this interview with Tommie Powers, aka Tommie Traffic. He's an entrepreneur, investor with over 17 years of experience. He's helped his clients and partners use digital advertising to sell over 700 million and counting, while personally managing over 130 million in ad spend. Like, yo, how many people you know have managed over 9 figures? That's rare. Rare. He's the elite of the elite. Realizing video was the future, he started buying ads on YouTube back in 2012. By 2014, he had spent his first million on YouTube ads. Since then, he's personally spent over 50 million and counting just on YouTube ads alone, in addition to training and mentoring over 1,000 high-level entrepreneurs and media buyers. His clients and partners include entrepreneurs who bootstrap from zero, top Silicon Valley VC firms, brands with billion-dollar valuations, public figures who sold their companies for as much as 9 figures, and startups who have raised tens of millions of dollars. Welcome to the show, my brother. Glad to have you on.
Yes. I appreciate it. Nice intro.
Thanks, man. Yes, sir. So I wanna take it all the way back, man. Take us to Tommie the kid. Like where like take me to the foundation of who you are and your childhood growing up, and did you know you would be this guy today?
I definitely didn't know I was gonna be this guy. That's for sure. But I always, always had ambition, right? I say I have a hustler's DNA. I've always, ever since I can remember my dad telling me, like, you always want to have some money in your pocket. You always want to, basically be in the leverage position and call the shots about how your life gonna turn out. And in order to do that, you can't be broke. It's already bad enough that you black in America. The worst thing that you can be is a broke black man in America. And I guess that's just kind of put something inside of me. So, growing up, man, I cut hair, cut grass, sold candy at school. The list go on and on, man. I obviously had jobs, washed cars before. Like, it was a way to make money and hustle, man. Like, I've done it. I would never, that was never a time in my life where I felt above, getting my hands dirty and doing what it takes to make it happen, because I just always wanted to be able to put myself in a position to be able to not have to ask, and that was a big thing, pride, also part of that. But just growing up, I'm from Mississippi, so I was born and raised there. So my mother's side of the family, which I kind of really grew up mostly with my mom's side, but also on my dad's side, we had a farm back in the day. So, I kind of grew up, part of my upbringing on a farm, chickens and cows and horses and turkeys, and garden with tomatoes and peas, and then we had apricots, and it's pretty crazy, right? That side of my family, I really learned how to really survive off the land, and really understanding, like, the world that we live in is a very abundant world, and every God has already given us everything we need to live an abundant life. And I saw that firsthand, growing up in that environment. So that kind of had a real impression on me as well. And just kind of marrying all those things together, man, I just always had a lot of ambition. My family always built me up. They told me how smart I was. They always kind of, gave me the big head, almost, if you will, like literally and figuratively, you know what I'm saying? So, I've always had that kind of like stamp on me too. Like, you gotta be him. You gotta go do it, and it's like, you the one type of thing. And so I always wanted to live up to that too. So, put all of that together, I knew I was gonna do something special. I ain't always know exactly what that was, but I just knew I was willing to do the work. I was willing to go through the process. I was willing to take the whatever came with that, I was willing to bust through it, whatever that meant. And so that's kind of what I would say if I just had to put a bow on it, from my childhood. That's kind of what it was. And I've always moved with that intent all the way to now. I've always been that.
Wow. So take us into, like, this show's about gift discovery, right?
Yeah.
When you think about your most dominant gift overall, what is that?
It's pattern recognition.
Hmm.
I've seen patterns since I can't even. Bro, I used to dream. I used to have dreams of these things, and I didn't know what it meant back then. But
Mm.
I just knew what I knew when it came to that. And so, in every facet of life, right? And so, I'm a numbers guy,
Mhm.
because that gives me data to really see patterns. But I
Mm.
see patterns in life. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I see patterns when I'm driving. Because
Mm.
I can notice like all of these cars are moving a certain way. That car is doing something a little different. We need to watch that one.
Wow.
I don't really know what that is. And even when I was a kid, man, I used to have dreams about things that I saw, and I would have these revelations from these patterns that I was seeing in life. And somehow in my dreams, they would reveal things to me, and I would see. I didn't see things before they happened, but I could feel things
Ooh.
happening based on just the pattern of way things were. And I just didn't know how to explain that, but I've always been like that. And it
So,
wasn't until NASA space grant program, my junior year in high school. So I grew up in a college town.
mm.
So I'm from Starkville, Mississippi, which
Mhm.
most people don't know where that at. But if you ever heard of Mississippi State University, that's literally all that's there. That town is built around that university. It's the biggest university by land in mass in the state of Mississippi, and one of the largest land grant institutions in the country.
Mm.
Um, and very, very good school, but that's literally where I'm from. It's built around that. So I grew up in a college town,
Mhm.
and the guy, Dr. Keith Konix, who was the head of the aerospace engineering department at Mississippi State University,
Yeah.
was world renowned. And when NASA was doing this program, I don't know the whole story on that, but I know that because of him and the aerospace engineering department at Mississippi State University, that is how that whole NASA space grant thing landed at my school, because that wasn't a thing at every school,
Mm.
across the country. It was like certain schools.
Right.
And part of that program mostly were college students, but every year they would choose two. Well, at least when they originally started it, they would choose one junior and one senior
Hmm.
from Starkville High School to
Yeah.
participate. And I got selected to be the junior, and a buddy of mine, Mike Lindsay, was chosen as the senior. He was a year ahead of me. And we were in that program my junior year. And then obviously my senior year, I did that program. And then I also, when I went to college, I ended up going to Mississippi State University. And I was also in that program my freshman year in college, because
Mm.
I went to be a computer engineer. Ended
Wow.
up changing my major. We can come back to that later. But
Yeah.
saying all of that to say, that is where that was probably one of the first times I ever had the opportunity and I still didn't know,
Mm.
but there were things that they had me doing that allowed me to leverage this gift that I have. And
Mm.
so these people knew this gift that I had, even though I didn't know the gift that I had. Matter of fact, Dr. Frank Quickie, I always have to give him a shout out, because he was my physics teacher my
Mm.
junior year. He was the person that referred me to that program. And he
Wow.
told me that I had a special gift. I was very gifted and all of these things. And,
Mm.
it's, in one end, out the other one. Plus, it's like where I'm from, it's like when you like that, that
Yeah.
ain't cool. You know what I mean? You a
Sure.
nerd, being a nerd was not cool yet.
Right.
So I'm trying to straddle the fence between, because I'm really a nerd,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to be cool, right? So I'm
Right.
trying to straddle the fence between the two. So you brushing it off or whatever, but my mother was very adamant about, and my family as well, just very adamant about education. So when the
Mm.
opportunity presented itself, my mama was basically like, you doing it. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to do it or not. And I didn't really give her a lot of pushback anyway, but I just it just felt nerdy. But my mom was just like, I don't care. This I ain't even never heard of this before type thing. So
Mm.
so I did. And then part of that, they had me doing things. I remember one time they tested me. They gave me like a thing to hold in my hand. They had a little red button on top.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put me in front of a computer. This is probably 1992 or maybe
Mm-hmm.
this 92, I want to say, or 93. It's
Yeah.
probably 92, yeah, because 92, 93 was my junior year. In 93, 94, I graduated in 94. I'm telling my age, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had this computer monitor in front of me. And on this monitor was all of these lines that were going across. And it's probably like, I don't even know how many lines, bro. It's like a lot of lines, and they're all different colors.
Wow.
And they all are moving in different things. And they would tell me, every time you notice something out of order, mash the red button. And I'm like, out of order, what do you mean? And they was like, whatever that mean to you, you know? And so
Wow.
I would just hit this little red button thing. And allegedly, my results were off the charts of this thing. I
What?
still don't know. And I still don't know, to this day. But now, well, I do kind of know now because it's that pattern recognition. It took me years later to realize what that was. They were basically testing my ability to recognize patterns, And I remember being part of this program my junior year and senior year, and these college students, man, they was like jealous of me, bro, because they were giving me assignments that I think these older guys felt like that they deserved, but for whatever reason, I was assigned to do certain things because of my gift, and so, but I ain't know what to do with that, man. I'm small
Right.
town Mississippi. I hadn't really been exposed to much. By the time I graduated high school, man, I had probably traveled to maybe 7 or 8 states,
Yeah.
close vicinity of where I'm from. I had
Right.
never been on the airplane. I didn't get on the airplane to 97. My brother got married. So I turned 21 that year, but I was 20, turning 21 that year. Maybe he was already. But my brother got married. I had to go to California. That's the first
Yeah.
time I ever on a plane. So I hadn't been exposed to a lot, man. So
Mm.
I ain't know what to do with that, bro. It just was what it was. But I remember it,
That's
And so
phenomenal.
fast forward, I get involved in this digital advertising world.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I'm doing the things, and then 5 or 6 years in, it's probably right before the whole YouTube thing happened with that 2011 or so. I'm really looking at where the future of this industry is going. Then I'm
Yeah.
looking at myself trying to figure out like what's my unique place in this thing that
Right.
I'm gonna really sit on and like ride on, right? And just like, because I see where this industry is going. This thing is out of here. This is about to be the biggest, again with the YouTube thing, and we'll get into that. But it's like TV
Yeah.
is gonna be on the internet.
Right.
So I kind of knew I was already like 4 or 5 years into this digital advertising thing, and I'm like, this is the next. This is gonna be bigger than anything we've ever seen before. So I'm gonna stay in this. But what's my unique thing in this? And it kind
Yeah.
of forced me to kind of self-evaluate, and that's kind of how I was studying different things, and that's when I landed on this whole pattern recognition thing, because
Right.
I'm trying to define what it is when I'm doing that thing. It's just
Sure.
this thing. And now I'm starting to be aware because I'm trying to figure out my place. And then
Right.
I'm trying to define that. And then I run across this thing. And then I had another guy that I met that I knew. Actually, he went to school with my brother. We was both from Starkville.
Yeah.
And he told me about this thing called spatial intelligence.
Mm.
And I kind of went down that rabbit hole, and I'm like, holy crap, I know what this is, and I was able to tie it back to that. And then a whole bunch of other stuff I had to leave out, but that
Yeah.
was kind of like the aha moment where I was like, oh, that's the gift.
Yeah.
That's why that's why the NASA thing happened. That's why these things were happening in my life where these people are telling me I have this gift. I don't understand that, but I'm just gonna go with it, you know.
Dude, that
Because the
is
biggest
remarkable.
thing, the last thing I'll say with the
Yeah.
NASA Space Grant Program, everything changed when I found out I got a stipend. And I didn't even
Mm,
know what the word meant at the time.
uh-huh.
And I'm like, what's that? And they was like, well, they give you like per diem. And I was like, what's that? It was like, they give you money. And I was like, they give you money?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to give you da 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 da. I was like, oh yeah, I'm in now. Say less. So I remember like getting a stipend. I think I got $2,000 my junior year, 2,000 my senior year.
That's huge.
And then when I went my freshman year, it was like $6,000, 3,000 a semester. But
Wow.
when I found out about that stipend, I was like, say less. Mama ain't got to force me to do this. I'm good. I
Yeah.
got it. I'm with it. You know.
That,
And
that,
but that's the kind of the journey that I went on. It was never immediate, man. It's just kind of
yeah.
been a bunch of moments happening where you have things happen in your life, and man, you try to tie it together and try to make it make sense. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But that's kind of like the aha moment. How
I
I was
love
able to kind of define,
I
oh,
love
that's
it.
what this is.
That's so amazing, right? Just awareness you've had obviously over the years, and just to get clear on what your gift is. And a lot of people aren't so clear, and it doesn't always become clear when you're going through it. It's always after, right, as you
Yeah.
realize. So I would love for you to highlight two moments. One is, can you give us any memory that you have where you recognized the pattern recognition as a child, like when you used it, or like you said, you had a dream. I'd love for you to take us in any moment that you can remember. And then secondly, what if you could give us the journey of finding essentially YouTube, and what drew you to YouTube, and how did you know, and was that pattern recognition part of this as well? How did you know that this could be something huge? Yeah.
The pattern recognition thing is interesting from a kid because a lot of it is trauma. Like my father is a Vietnam veteran. My
Mm,
father fought in Vietnam, and he was very, mentally just it really jacked him up really bad.
mm,
So when I was young, my dad, you know, he would be either in his right mind or out of his mind. It's kind of how we described it, right?
mm,
And pattern recognition allowed me at an early age to catch the patterns of my father's behavior, where I would even call my family members, grandmother, aunts, uncles, mom, whoever, and be like, hey, y'all need to get somebody to check on dad. Like he on that path, or he about to, and I could like predict that my dad about to do something crazy because I'm studying him and I'm watching him. And I know, and I'm starting to understand, oh, my daddy in his right mind. I'm
mm,
understanding, oh, my daddy he ain't in his right mind right now.
mm,
And based on the level of that will determine his behavior.
mm,
Because my daddy was off the chain, bro. Like when he was gone like that,
mm.
man, dad used to do some crazy stuff, man. Just out there, and I won't get too far into it, but a
Yeah.
lot of it is very traumatic. He didn't do things to me, which is weird because he never harmed me, but he would just do just out of this world, just crazy stuff. To most
Mm,
people, it would be crazy, but in the context of what he was dealing with, it's not as crazy,
mm.
because of the trauma that he had to experience, being
Yeah.
in a war zone, having to, say I'm gonna make it home. You can't kill women and kids, but my dad telling me a story where a child is walking toward him with a bomb on him.
Mm.
And he understands that there's an inflection point that when that kid get enough close to him, if he don't take him out, the bomb gonna take both of them out.
Mm.
So what do you do when you in a
Right.
scenario where nobody's there to stop the child,
Mm.
and you got to determine, do you want to live and do you want to stay alive so you can get back home, or do you want to go by the rules of whatever they tell you?
Mm.
Like,
Whoa.
what are you gonna do in that scenario?
Heavy.
And now this man got to live with that because he
Yeah.
obviously made it home, so he ain't have to tell me what he did because I know he's sitting right there.
Right.
But I understood what he's saying. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
having those types of things, like he's living with that type of trauma. You know, he claims he had took the lives of like 200 people,
Mm.
and those people will hunt him, you know, and things of that nature. You know what I mean? So just a lot of trauma in that with him, and then obviously the behavior outside of that. But saying all of that to say, as young as I can remember, man, my mom and dad divorced when I was 4 years old.
Mm.
But me and my dad had a super tight relationship up until, well, pretty much all of the time. But I used to like be at my dad's all the time, and then he ended up remarrying. My stepmother ended up moving here. She, you know, whatever. By the time I was like 11 years old, and then when she came in, it changed everything.
Mm.
But as young as I can remember, man, you know, 5, 6, 7 years old, I remember, you know, studying him and understanding and getting to a point where 7, 8, 9 years old, I'm starting to predict his behavior based on the patterns that I'm seeing, you know, based, again, going to sleep at night, having dreams about things that my dad might be gonna do.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and some of them I probably stopped, and some of them I dreamed about them and they actually came to reality. You know what I mean? So, so a lot of it was kind of baked into that, like really young. You know what I'm saying? So,
deep, man.
so just trauma, really, more than anything, and
Yeah.
not really from a business application or,
Right.
you know, things of that nature until later on in my teenage years and into, you know, sports and girls and, you know, whatever crazy stuff that you get involved in. But like young, it was really a lot of that for me. And I forget your second question.
Yeah. So that's
Or
wow.
the second part of the question.
Yeah, but I mean that was powerful, man. Just to hear that you recognize what it came from, you know, trauma, and then the second part of the question is the recognition, because it's kind of going back into your gift, right? The recognition that YouTube would be a platform to be reckoned with, and something that could change the world. I mean, YouTube could have easily been a Vine, right? Like Vine, where it died out and fizzled out, but you somehow had an ability to recognize this is something major, and then not only recognize this is something major, you stamped your ground on it and said, "Hey, this is something I'm going to stick with and build on."
Yeah, man. Again, 2011 ish. You know, I started doing Google Ads 2007, 2008. It changed my life. You know, 2007, I made $5,000 to my name. I had heart failure February 2007.
Wow.
My wife was holding it down. That
Wow.
whole thing. It took me months to kind of get back up on my feet. I probably wasn't really on my feet, you know, about 6 months. And then even still, I wasn't like fully myself again. But it took, you know, about 6 months, I was able to kind of get back up and I'm moving, you know, normal function, you know, for the most part. But I'm still having, you know, issues, you know, fluid buildup,
Right.
you know, mental things going on, you know, just physical health issues, but I can function pretty normal in, you know, generally speaking.
Right.
And you know, I find this affiliate marketing that then leads me into Google Ads because I need to get traffic, you know,
Right.
and so I ended up, you know, Google Ads, and that's kind of how it all kind of happened. And so
Yeah.
2008, by the time I get to 2008, you know, 2007, I lost a bunch of, I mean, I wouldn't say a bunch, but it was a bunch to me because
Right.
we was going broke, you know what I'm saying? But 2008, you know, early 2008, I started finding some success with Google Ads and affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
And by the end of 2008, I was killing it. So I made like $300,000 in 2008. You know, top line. It wasn't profit, but like I generated like 300K.
That's amazing.
In 2007, I made $5,000.
Right.
So in my mind, like this where I'm at. And nobody can tell me nothing different. You know what I mean?
You did that in the recession, right? 2008 is the year of the recession.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
The recession didn't even, I didn't even feel that, to be honest with you.
That's
because
amazing.
I came from management.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just changed jobs right before I got the heart failure. So the reason I didn't end up having the money, because the job that I switched to, I wasn't even 90 days. They wasn't required to hold my space. But prior to that, I haven't been in the management field. Like I wasn't, making a ton of money, but we was doing decent. I think my best year, I probably made like $55,000, $60,000 a year. My wife had a job. We wasn't living crazy at that time anyway. We had 2 kids, right before I had the heart failure. So we wasn't balling by any stretch, but we wasn't really in the market, real estate buying and this, that, and the third. So it wasn't like we had a lot to lose per se, you know what I mean? Because we wasn't putting it on the line like that. We was just living working class, regular people. I'm in my 30s. I'm like 31 years old. So so for people that's listening, it's like, I'm this late in the game. You know what I'm saying? Even at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really have money in the market and stocks and real estate and all of that. So a lot of the people who lost in the whole crash of that thing, because they had assets in the market. I ain't feel that because I ain't had it. You know what I mean? And so 2007, 2008, I'm just trying to find my way, because I need to replace my revenue, my income generating ability with something other than management, because they're telling me if you go back into management, it's going to be too stressful. It's already bad enough. You done had heart failure. You probably going to have to get a heart transplant. They're telling me all of the crazy things that, my life, you might live for 2 years, yada, yada, yada.
Oh.
And so for me, in my mind, I'm like, I just got to a place where I was like, I don't want to accept that. If that's what it's going to be, I'm going to go out flaming. Like, I'm not going to accept that from you. But if that's what God got for me, then that's what it's going to be. But I'm going to live my life like I'm going to be here. But I did listen to the doctor, because he was like, the stress, whatever you do, man, just try to avoid the stress.
Wow.
And that's why I was like, I got to make this internet thing work, because I had dabbled around with the internet stuff prior to that. So I knew I needed to make the internet, I wanted to make the internet thing work.
Wow.
So 2008 hit, you can't tell me nothing now, because I already knew that this internet thing was a thing. I just needed to spend the energy, and that forced me in a space to really figure that out. And so I felt like I had something figured out. 2008, 2009, end of 2009, Google shut me down. And that's what really moved me into the agency space, because I had developed these skills and I needed to make money. And I got introduced to the agency game, because there were people who were willing to pay for you to provide that service for them. All of this stuff that I knew about running ads and creative and this and that, and all of this stuff that I had learned and skill that I had developed, I learned that there was value in that in this other place, and that these people would pay you money, on the front end. It ain't feast or famine like the affiliate game was. So I jumped on that, because I got a family now. I got 3 kids by now, because my third child was born in 2008, and I needed to provide. And so that's kind of how I got in the agency space, which then gave me even more confidence to say, man, I was doing this thing. I took them skills. I'm up over here with this thing. I see where this thing going. I'm on this. 2011 come around. I'm like, okay, where is it going though?
Right.
And that's kind of where my mindset was, because I'm a family man, right? I'm looking at these kids and my wife and this family that I got, and providing for them. Am I going to stay with this thing, or there's some other alternative. Maybe I need to go back in the workforce. I was just kind of at a crossroad trying to determine, do I just dig my heels in the dirt and just really, really go in on this? That is when I ran across TV is going to be on the internet. And bruh, for like 2 weeks, I just couldn't shake it. Cause that's my thing, man. Like if I get a aha, I don't always act on them. I just, sometimes I write them down or whatever. But if it doesn't overwhelm me and just won't go away, I probably won't pursue it. But if it just won't go away, I'm gonna have to pursue it, because I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna beat myself up if I don't. I'm gonna regret not doing it. You know what I mean? And that's the last thing I want to be, man. Is, you know, on my way out regretting.
That's
you know,
right. For
but
sure.
it had such a grip on me that I had to pursue it. You know, and so my mindset was like, all right, let me just go over here and play around with it and mess with it. But TV gonna be on the internet. I should probably pursue that on some level. I'm not gonna throw everything out that I got going on to go do that. Let me take a little bit of my time and throw at that on a regular, consistent basis and see where it leads me.
So I want to take one step back real quick, just for the listeners who may not be familiar with the space, right? So, because this is nothing to gloss over. Okay. 2008, you made $300K purely from affiliate marketing. It sounds like, right?
Yeah.
So could you, so if you could just break down, and then what I gathered is from there you were doing, so with that affiliate marketing, you were doing some Google ads, or Google AdWords as it was called at that time. And your account got banned, and then you said, you know what, I can't do this just on the solo level. I need to build an infrastructure around this so I can do this for other reasons other than just affiliate marketing, but I want to just help people do the AdWords and all of that. And that's what opened up the agency. So if you could just kind of give just listeners of just like, okay, Tommie, how did you make that money back then through that? And then the path of how you made revenue from the AdWords side on your own solo as an agency, and then from there to the YouTube.
So the affiliate marketing thing is pretty simple, right? You promote someone else's product and they pay you a commission on every sale you generate for them. So the simplest version of it is, if I can generate the sale for less than what the commission that they pay me, I get to pocket the difference. So it's like buy low, sell high, really, right? So if you go back to the hustler's DNA thing that I mentioned, it's like, that's the hustle. You know what I'm saying? That's not really, there's ways you can turn that into a business, but the mechanism that I was doing it was not a real legitimate business. It was more of a hustle thing. It was just because you got the internet, it's an infinitely scalable hustle, you know, but there's a lot of risk associated with that. Offers go down, you know, other people can steal your commissions. It's like a lot that go in. There's like a lot of things that I won't get into in that, but that's the simple version of it, is that when you drive people to someone else's offer, and those people that you send there take that offer, they pay you a commission. And your job as an affiliate is to generate that for less than what it costs. And then you keep the difference. So I probably make, 2008, I make $300K. I probably spent $180,000 on advertising. So I probably netted maybe like 120 before taxes, right? So that's generally how that was. And then probably because I probably didn't really start really banking from a profit perspective till late in the year. A lot of that money I was spending at first on the front end, I was spending a lot and making a little. And then as I started learning how to optimize, that's when I was able to go, make 50, 60,000 in a month and spend 25,000 and make 60,000 and, and pocket the difference, right? So, but that's essentially what that is. And that's still a model that works to this day. But again, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a legitimate business in and of itself. There will be a lot of other things that you would have to do to make that a legitimate business. But I'm not in that space anymore. That's not kind of how I operate anymore. But it is definitely a way for me. I tell people all the time, if you really are serious about the advertising game, affiliate is a way that it forces you to learn. Because if you can't never make it work, you just ain't gonna never make it work. But if you ever gonna make it work, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to put the work in. Like the probability of getting it to work on a regular and consistent basis, it's a lot. And you learn a lot. I learned copywriting and landing pages and funnels and all of that stuff. I had to learn as an affiliate. And a lot of those skills are still serving me to this day. I built websites on WordPress and Dreamweaver, and the list goes on and on and on. You know what I mean? But a lot of that stuff I learned as an affiliate marketer. So that by the time I showed up with these businesses, I already had a lot of those skills. But that was the primary thing that I woke up doing every single solitary day is affiliate marketing. How do I be better? How do I be stronger at it? How do I stay consistent? How do I remove the risk associated with the business, with that, with the business that at least I thought I had? Because obviously, like Google shuts me down, and overnight I go from making 50, 60 grand a month to zero, because 90+% of my revenue is coming from Google ads. Till fast forward 2010, this is like end of 2009, 2010, August 2010, we bankrupt. We go bankrupt. Like we lose everything. House get foreclosed, cars get repossessed, jewelry, rims, all kind of stuff that we had to sell off in order just to survive, bro. We had to downsize from the house into a little 1,200 square feet house with a husband and wife and 3 kids and 1,200 square feet from, what we was in and all of this. Look, some people that's what they're living in. I'm just saying, I'm just using it as context to where we were to where we went. You know what I mean? So we went bankrupt off the back of that, because one decision. So for me, that's why, like, when I look at affiliate, I don't want to be in a space. If I'm going to build a real business, I don't want to be in that space. But I know if it's just a hustle, which in my mind, I thought I had a business. But if you put it in the context of, no, this is just a hustle that's going to allow me to level up to something else. It's going to allow me to develop my skills, things of that nature, then 100% go for it. But building a business out of that, not so much, So that's kind of what that is. The only reason I got in the agency game, I didn't know nothing about the agency game. I just needed to make money. And because I had built relationships, because you and I talked when we first met, and then we didn't connected or whatever. And I told you super early, like, I'm a relationship guy. Yeah, this is the saving grace of my entire career, of all of the ups and downs. A relationship. A buddy of mine reaches out to me, tells me, I have these guys, they want somebody to run their ads for them. I know you good at it. You need, I want to put y'all together. I'm like, why would I do that? Why would I run their ads? And he was like, something. And I was like, I don't know about that. And he was like, bro, they pay. Don't you need to make money? I was like, yeah, I need to make some money. He was like, they will pay you to do this for them. People pay people to do that for them? Sign me up, bro. Yeah, I need to make money, right?
Yeah.
That's how I learned about the agency game. I didn't even have a thought pattern as I'm looking for ways to offset this setback that I've had.
Right.
My mind never even goes into agency. I don't even get exposed to that.
Wow.
Only because I'm communicating with the relationships that I have about my scenario. You know, man, Google shut me down, this, that, and the third. I've been trying this and trying that. I'm trying to get back up. Like, what can I do? I'm reaching out to people that I know who in the space, who know people, so forth and so on. What can I do? And people giving me different things, but ain't nothing catching on. And so, I'm just saying, man, I got to figure something out because I got to get my money back up, man. This, I'm telling people what the situation is. And that's when my buddy calls me up, and he telling me everything but the money. And I'm just kind of like, and this guy, I trust him. His
Yeah.
name is John Shugart. I actually give him props all the time.
Mm.
And I'm like, dude, like, I don't know about that. And that's what he's like, dude, they'll pay you.
Wow.
It's like, oh, yeah, sign me up. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's like the NASA situation again, right? Like, you know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Like people saw the talent, they're connecting you to the opportunity,
That's true.
and then you see, oh wow, I'm getting paid for this.
That's
I
crazy
do this.
that you said that. I never
You,
put that together.
you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
do this naturally. This is who I am. It's what I
Yeah.
do.
They gonna pay me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up, bro. So that's
Wow.
how I get into the agency game. And once I got into the agency game, just one thing led to another and to another. And I kind of been swimming that lane ever since, in different capacities, from, being a solo, to building a team, then, merging with another agency, saying, coming out of that, being solo again, partnering up with another buddy of mine, we building a thing, to being solo again, to building my own thing. I done had like 4 or 5 iterations of agency over
Mm,
the years, but the one constant thing has always been the ability to deliver results. And that's
mm,
kind of what allowed me to build a name for myself over all of
yeah.
these years, because I've been able to do that on a consistent basis. And over the years, the results just kind of compounded and got
Wow.
bigger and bigger, and the opportunities got bigger and bigger. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like an overnight, like, oh, it just blew. No,
Yeah.
like once I got in the agency game, it's just been a steady
Yeah.
climb with some adversity in there.
Of
There is
course.
some adversity in there, but
Yeah.
every time I'm able to, have adversity, I'm able to bounce back a little stronger, because I'm
Right.
leveraging all of the things that I learned in the prior event and
Yeah.
so forth, and just been building on it from there.
So
So that's been the blessing.
Man, this is phenomenal, and I'm already saying, if I hope you don't mind. I think we're gonna need a part two, because we are. I feel like we're in the middle here, and I feel like there's so much. So if you're, hopefully you're not opposed to that,
Okay.
but I also don't want to rush it, because I want to make sure. So what I want to go into is the development. Like you just said something very key. There's two areas of development I'd like to go into. So if you don't mind, one is what it produced in you as a person when you went from the high highs to the low of going into bankruptcy, and dealing with that, and gaining it all, losing it all, and then obviously gaining it all back. And so the development of you as a person in that standpoint, and then secondly, the development of your skill, because what you shared, I don't want the audience to gloss over or miss that. You said that things got incrementally better,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't happen if you don't get incrementally better. So that means that you were behind the scenes. There's a lot of work. People see, oh man, Tommie gets great results, but they don't know, what does Tommie do in the background to develop himself to get this kind, because it's a development that you had to put into yourself that is beyond what anybody would probably normally put into themselves to be able to get that kind of result. So if you don't mind speaking to those two development factors.
So the first one again, remind me again, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna probably ask you to remind me about the second.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So the first one is the development of going through the high to the
Gotcha.
low, and then
Yeah,
coming back to the high.
gotcha. I mean, look, I can sit here today and I can tell you it was necessary.
Mm,
But when you're going through it, it ain't no way for you to know that.
mm,
When you're going through it, that's every emotion you can imagine, man.
mm,
There's the feeling of being a failure,
mm.
um, depression,
Yeah.
um, just a lot of things. I've never been like suicidal or anything like that. Probably the only time that I ever wished that I was dead was when I was after heart failure. That
Mm,
little 6-month window in between where, man, there were times, dude, where I had so much fluid on my legs, I
mm,
couldn't even walk upstairs in my house. I would have to stay downstairs for 3, 4, 5 days at a time. Or if I was upstairs, I had to stay upstairs 3, 4, 5 days at a time.
mm,
I couldn't even get around. There were times where my wife trying to hold it down. No family is there. I'm at home. My wife got to go to work. Nobody's there. I got to fend for myself. I can't even move I'm pissing on myself.
Mm.
And bro, when I tell you the mindset that they put me in, like, why
Wow.
am I even here, bro? Like, I can't even do nothing. Like,
Wow.
I'm asking God, like, why didn't you just take me? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But since then, I haven't had that feeling because it kind of, once that switch flipped for me, it was really about my kids and want to live for them. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like,
Mm.
that was kind of the switch that flipped for me.
Mm.
Cause we still had 2 kids at that time. By the time my 3rd child was born in '08,
Mm.
it just, I don't know, just something about them kids, man, that made me be like, I'm gonna live for them if it ain't for nothing else. I'm gonna
Wow.
live for my wife. I'm gonna live for my kids, and obviously my family, and I love them and
Right.
everything. But these people depend on me, and I'm gonna
Mm.
find a way. And
That's
so,
inspiring.
saying all of that to say, the ups and the downs, you have um, all of the emotion,
Mm.
but that was the thing that I clung to because I
Mm.
knew that they were depending on me, and I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a provider. I pride myself in providing. I pride
Mm.
myself in, that makes me feel like I am who, make me feel like the man that I want to be is to
Mm.
be that. And that's important to me, not because it's a burden or anything. Like, I own that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, in all of those ups and downs, I just had to kind of go back to that. I was always reminded of that. And then having a strong, spouse, my wife been through all of that with me. Like, we've been together, 26 years.
Mm.
We'd be married 23 years coming
Mm.
up, and our wedding anniversary in a couple months. So,
Congrats. Yeah.
we've been together a long time. And so she been through with me through all of that. And so
Mm.
having a support system, having relationships that when you are down, you can reach out. That's kind of how I mentioned, like,
Right.
I ain't know what I was gonna do, but it was kind of looking real bad. So my
Mm.
homeboy turned me on to the agency space. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So I clung on to the wanting to be there for my wife and my children and
Yeah.
live for them
Mm.
at the highest version of me that I can, to be the
Mm.
best version of myself I can be for them.
Wow.
And then the relationships that I have, and always being intentional about building relationships with people. And when you find people that are worthy,
Mm.
you do it because you can, not because you expect anything, knowing that a lot of times it comes back
Yes.
tenfold. It's so real. You know what I mean? So
That's real.
I just have continued to have, I've seen it happen in my life so much.
Mm.
I just have gotten stronger and stronger in the intent that I put behind that, where, look, you don't always get it right. Sometimes you do things for folks that probably shouldn't get it, but that's on them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I've had to learn that, God put it on my heart. I just follow that, you know.
That's it.
And there's so many people that I have helped that probably never gave me nothing. You know what I'm saying? There have been people that I ain't never did nothing for that actually helped me too, right? But it's
Mm.
just the intent that I put out, in that has always yielded for me.
Mm.
So that's the only thing it is, man. But when you going through it, man, that's a hard thing to stand on, you know what I mean? Because you're going through it. At the time you're going through it, it seemed
Yeah.
like the world crashing around you. It seemed like everything's falling apart, nothing's working.
Mm.
I go through those things. I've had all of those, but it's just my thirst, to want to be a provider and be there and live for my kids and my wife, and wanting to be, it's just like I got to get back up, and my wife being right there beside me saying like, hey, yeah, get back up. You got
Mm.
to go back and swing, go back to
Mm.
swinging,
That's
or
beautiful.
sometimes it's like, you know what? Let me go I'm swinging right now. I'm gonna give
Mm.
you some space. Let
Mm.
me do it. Let me do a little bit of it,
Mm.
but at some point I'm gonna need you to step back in,
Mm.
and having that from time to time, that's important. So
That's
that's the only thing I can say, man.
mm.
It's not easy, bro. It's not no exact science. It's not no exact answer. When you're going through it, you're going through it, man. But it's just like your support system is everything, and
That's
that's kind of what I have to put it on. To be honest with you, at the end of the day, I have to put it on the
yeah.
support system that I have, man, and the relationships that I built. That
Yeah.
really has been my saving grace.
That's what I'm gathering from you. When we talked before, you said there's some depth, and now I get to see it. Yes, obviously you're a world class uh, businessman, YouTube specialist, ad specialist, advertising guru, but there's a depth that's deeper rooted that causes
Yeah.
what we see, and so it's cool to hear that. And I don't want to rush it, man. Like I want to go. So with your permission, man, I like for us to do part two and go into the Tommie Traffic part of like how what you did to become who you are from the study and the using that gifting, the patterns and all of that. So I'm blessed by this interview so far, bro. And so I want to let the listeners know. So is that cool with you? We
That's
do a
cool.
part two.
That's cool. That's cool.
Okay. So I'm gonna pause it here, and ladies and gentlemen, wait for part two. I know it's gonna be epic.